Back in 2018, the Meg surprised just about everyone. Based on Steve Alten's novel, it turned into a massive summer hit, pulling in over $530 million worldwide. That kind of success made a sequel pretty much inevitable for Warner Brothers, and soon enough, another round of prehistoric chaos surfaced. This time, more giant sharks crawled out of the deep to terrorize the modern world, while Jason Statham's Jonas tried to stop them once again. The sequel, titled The Trench, finally hit theaters and kept the Shark Attack franchise alive. Critics weren't too generous, but audiences still showed up, and the ending left things wide open for a third movie. It proved there's still plenty of room for a fun, semi-serious monster franchise that doesn't take itself too seriously. The first Meg was directed by John Turteltaub, but The Trench switched gears with indie filmmaker Ben Wheatley taking over. His style gave the movie a fresh tone and a slightly weirder edge that made it stand out from the first one. With Statham back in the lead, the sequel leaned into its own over-the-top charm while teasing even bigger possibilities for the Meg 3. The budget for The Trench was somewhere between $150 and $200 million, and it ended up earning around $390 million globally. Not as big as the first, but still solid. And it looks like Warner Brothers isn't done yet. Wheatley has hinted in multiple interviews that they've got plenty of storylines mapped out for a third film, exploring deeper corners of the ocean and the mythology behind these creatures. Future sequels could dive into where these massive predators actually came from, or introduce entirely new species that take the spectacle to a whole new level. There's even potential for prequels or spin-offs, maybe showing the rise of the first megalodon millions of years ago. If a third film happens, it'll probably pull from Alten's third book, Primal Waters. That story follows the aftermath of the second film, where the megalodon Heike might be pregnant. In The Trench, she's set free at the end, and there's a clear hint that she could be carrying offspring. The next movie could easily pick up that thread, showing her babies, faster, meaner, and more dangerous, swarming the ocean and threatening coastal cities. In Alten's novels, Primal Waters takes place 18 years later, with Jonas starring in a survival TV show that goes horribly wrong when megalodons and other prehistoric threats show up. The movie version will likely shrink that time gap to keep the action fresh and connected. It's easy to imagine a story where Jonas and his crew face an entire pack of megalodons, maybe after a containment breach at the aquarium, or due to changes in underwater currents, putting human lives at risk once again. The new villains could be even smarter and more aggressive, forcing Jonas to find new ways to stop them while uncovering more secrets about the Trench and his connection to Heike. Judging by how The Trench ended, the third film could explore genetic adaptation, with mutated sharks evolving due to pollution, human interference, or shifts in the ocean's ecosystem. A new human antagonist might emerge too, someone looking to weaponize these creatures for profit or power. There's also room for more emotional depth this time, showing Jonas struggling between saving humanity and preserving these ancient predators. The third movie could turn into an all-out battle for the balance of the ocean, mixing explosive action, sci-fi adventure, and even a subtle environmental message. By blending ideas from Alten's novels, like the birth of new megalodons, their evolution, and humanity's impact on nature, the Meg 3 could push the franchise to its most epic and chaotic chapter yet. In novels, the world of the Meg goes way beyond giant sharks. There's a whole range of ancient sea monsters lurking in the deep, waiting to challenge Jonas Taylor. These creatures make the story feel bigger, darker, and way more intense, something that could easily translate into a high-stakes action thriller on screen. The books also introduce storylines involving shady scientific and military organizations trying to exploit megalodons for their own gain, sparking human conflicts on top of all the natural chaos. That's something a new movie could definitely build on, adding more tension and moral gray areas to the mix. Primal Waters picks up 18 years after The Trench. Jonas is now middle-aged, a father of two, and trying to live a quieter life. He gets hired as a consultant for a reality TV show called Daredevils, which takes place in the South Pacific. But around the same time, strange things start happening along the coast. Mass beachings of whales and sea lions, sudden ocean disturbances, and growing signs that the so-called angel shark, a massive megalodon from the past, might be returning. The story dives deep into human drama and conflict, not just with sharks, but also with people who see these creatures as weapons or opportunities. By the end, the stakes skyrocket as Jonas faces new confrontations with megalodon offspring and fresh mysteries from the ocean's depths. There's still no official release date or detailed updates about the Meg 3, but the plan is reportedly to bring Jason Statham back once again, with the director keeping that same mix of tension, adventure, and scientific intrigue, only this time ramped up with new threats from both sharks and humans. If the MEG 3 adapts Primal Waters closely, we'll likely see an older, more weathered Jonas Taylor working as a consultant on a survival show that quickly turns into a nightmare. The crew could find themselves trapped and hunted by a new generation of megalodons. At the same time, strange mass deaths of marine animals and sudden shark activity might serve as early warnings of something even bigger lurking below. The film could also lean into environmental and biological themes, showing how the ocean's ecosystem is changing, how megalodons might be mutating or adapting, and how human interference is making things worse. Alongside the natural dangers, the story could include a human threat, organizations or individuals trying to capture and weaponize the sharks for profit or power. Expect intense action scenes filled with underwater battles, close calls, and jaw-dropping visuals. The sequel would aim to balance science-driven drama with blockbuster adventure, delivering something that feels both thrilling and epic. In the end, the MEG 3, especially if it follows Primal Waters, could become a perfect mix of monster chaos, human conflict, and ecological storytelling. It would continue Jonas Taylor's journey into the unknown, focusing on a new generation of megalodons, deeper ocean mysteries, and humanity's ongoing struggle to control what should never have been disturbed.